Welcome to this edition of the Tiger Men's Lacrosse Report. I'm your host, Spiro Marikas, along with the head coach of the Tigers, Sean Nadlin. And coach, the Tigers get back on the winning track this week with an 11-7 victory against the Stags of Fairfield. And I guess the most impressive thing about the ball game, 8 of your 11 goals scored by freshmen.
Yeah, it's exciting to get a win. Unfortunately, it's been too long since we've done that this season. So I was excited for the players, the team overall. This last week leading into the Fairfield game was spring break here on campus. So, the guys really showed a maturity in regards to their process, putting in, with more time on their hands, not having classes. They spent more time on the field and really dialed into what we were asking of them, being more fundamentally sound, paying attention to the details a little bit more. And I like to think that helped us, in the game. But having anybody score is always exciting, but when you have freshmen score, it's, to see their hard work, and see them, finish off plays that everybody contributes to is fun.
Well, Villa Gomez wins, the Rookie of the Week, and Evan Long wins the Defensive Player of the Week in the CAA. He was phenomenal again with 15 saves and really keeping Fairfield off the board at key moments in that ball game.
Yeah, they had some easy looks, some one-on-nones, with Evan and
Bryce Ford twice got snuffed, right on the right on crease.
He did better with bars on his hip, getting shots around Colby than uncontested against Evan. But Evan, I think really responded well after the Drexel game, where I think he realizes he maybe didn't play his best, and then stepped up his game against Fairfield, and obviously was a big part of our win in that game.
How about the offense? You made a move midway through the game and brought Shire in, the freshman. He scores 3 goals. What went behind that decision?
John was just having a rough day overall. He made a careless error when he got the personal foul with throwing the ball and not just setting it down. And we just felt like we could see his frustration, and other guys have worked hard to earn time and inserting them into the mix to see what they can get. And Ryan got out there and obviously produced some positive results.
And then early in the game, Mikey Weissauer, he came right out, and 2 goals from it looked like exact same spot.
Yeah. Weber, sweeping over the top, drawing some adjacent attention, and feeding it to Mikey, from kind of that wing spot, and him letting it go. And watching the shots on film, where we film is the opposite side from where we are in the bench. So it was a great angle from where he was shooting. He put the ball in the exact same spot both times. So it was a great shot to shoot on this goalie. You could see him get that confidence after those 2 goals early. In that second quarter, he just started to play much more confident, much more aggressive, a couple nice assists. So he played well. 6'5"
goalie. When you see a guy that tall, do you kind of want to shoot low?
Well, you think it's harder for him to get down to those shots. You really just want to challenge goalies to track the ball. You don't want to make it easy on them, shooting it obviously right in their stick or keeping it on the same plane. You want to change the levels of your shot. You would think a 6'5" goalie is going to be pretty good up high because he's tall. He's above the 6-foot crossbar. So, his upper body is filling up more of the net. So, yeah, you challenge him well.
For you guys, I'm sure not only elation, but a sigh of relief to get that victory and get off of the losing streak and get a key win in the CAA.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're working hard for every game to be a win, and just hadn't been able to do that leading up to this point. Knowing that we're in conference play now, obviously these games become that much more crucial and important every time out. So for us to respond after a tough overtime loss to Drexel, go out, play pretty well against Fairfield. It definitely wasn't our best, but it was good enough to win. I know Fairfield made some mistakes that I think we were able to capitalize on, but it was also through a lot of hard work. We still had over 20 turnovers, which is something we got to continue to clean up and play smarter and just play cleaner lacrosse.
But you did force a lot of turnovers too.
Correct, yeah. It's good.
That makes it a little easy.
A little bit, yeah. You got to capitalize when you get that.
Well, it's not going to get easier this week because first of 2 straight road trips to Long Island this week to take on Stony Brook, and your old offensive coordinator, I know, very close friend, Anthony Gallardi, who's now the head coach at Stony Brook. They're coming off a win against Monmouth where they trailed early and trailed big early, came back, were able to win. So they are a team coming in with a lot of momentum.
Yeah, they showed a lot of resiliency in that Monmouth game, going down early to them and then battling back in that first quarter. It was tight the rest of the way and, able to kind of get some separation late into that fourth quarter. So they show a lot of what they're made of. Obviously, like I said, Anthony's has been a big part of our program here at Towson when he was our offensive coordinator. I think of him like a brother, and he's done a great job with their program. So it'll be fun to get up there and then put the two teams against each other.
The fact that you know each other so well and you coach together, for years, does that help in trying to figure out what they're going to be doing? And does it help him in trying to figure out what you're going to be doing?
He might be a little bit more familiar just because he knows our players a little bit more, just, having been around them, having recruited them. And just kind of knowing kind of how I run my program. Obviously, he's running his program how he wants to. He's got different players than we do. I didn't recruit his guys. I wasn't around, coaching those guys and things. So he might be a little bit more, in tune. Obviously, I know kind of who he is as a man and a coach, and what he believes in his system. So I like to think, you got a little bit of insider knowledge, but that's part of who he is. He's always prepared. His teams are always prepared, and he's going to have an answer for everything.
First meeting between the two schools as CAA foes, and you look at Dylan Palinetti's got 45 points in 9 games. So obviously he's somebody that your defense is going to have to key on.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming off the Monmouth game, I think he had 6 goals and an assist, and was a huge part of them getting back into that game and then sealing it at the end. So he's a terrific talent, no doubt, and we got to pay close attention to him.
They're an offensive team that can certainly put points on the board, so it's not just Palinetti, it's other guys with him. Yeah,
no, they got a good balance. Blake Balin, who transferred in from LIU, has been a good addition to them. They also got another transfer at attack. So those 3 guys working together, they complement each other very well. Palinetti gets a lot of the attention, but those other guys are very dangerous. And then they got some good, good-sized middies, skilled middies, guys that can draw attention away from those attackmen. So then if they're starting to spin the ball against you defensively, you really got to be fine-tuned in your rotations, your breakdown on the ball, and being able to play defense as you're rotating.
They are about 50% on faceoffs, and they use 2 guys pretty much evenly. How does that present a problem for Matt Constantinidis in that he doesn't know until he shows up out there at the circle who's going to be on the other side?
We just got to prepare for it, just like you prepare for different offenses or different defenses, different rides. So we'll work on that in practice and have our face-off guys script what their guys do and look against that. So obviously it's a little different when you're going against the actual person or the actual team. But we got to prepare for who they are and what they do, and just make sure our face-off guys are all ready for that.
And face-off is an area that is not quite as much of a concern as it has been the last few years.
Yeah, it still is. Matt's been doing decent, and he's the thing that I really appreciate about Matt and all of our face-off guys is that they continue to work hard at improving, and that's, they're eager to, they self-assess, and they're receptive to coaching, they're receptive to getting better, and they all compete against each other, but they all support each other tremendously well. So Matt's obviously been our workhorse so far this year and been able to do a pretty good job here the last couple of games by, I think, settling down a little bit more and just being able to play with a bit more poise.
Came up with a big turnover the other day too.
Yeah, no, he's solid. He used to be a high school quarterback, football quarterback. So he's got some more athleticism and IQ than other people give face-off guys.
Well, he's Greek too, so that IQ goes way up.
Always, right? Can't hurt.
Your defense, again, in 6-on-6 situations, they really have been very good this year.
They've been solid. I think Fairfield exploited us a little bit. They had some matchups that they felt comfortable with. Evan, like we said, played pretty well for us and helped us there. But yeah, that's always been a little bit of a key for us is really being strong 6-on-6, both offensively and defensively. But, talking about defense here, we want our guys to be able to settle in for a shot clock and then play tough defense all the way through, get the stop, and clear the ball out. So we need to, we're going to need all of our guys to be on point and connected going against Stony Brook.
All right, so the Tigers will take on the Sea Wolves this Saturday at noon. I'll be with you at 11:45 on TowsonTigers.com with all the action as the Tigers try to get to over 500 in the CAA. So for the head coach of the Tigers, Sean Nadlin, I'm Spiro Marikis. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you again next week.